All right. So why don't we get started? We have a quorum, as far as I'm concerned, 9 folks, 3 of whom are guests. Thank you all for joining. You've reached the marketing, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the Trusted Referral Network. Almost told you the wrong flight. Yeah, this is the Trusted Referral Network. And we are a group of about 20 or so marketing agencies, consultancies around the country, get together twice a month on the second and fourth Tuesdays. So today, of course, is the fourth Tuesday of February. We meet for about an hour, and our focus is really helping, first of all, learning about each other, what the others in the group do, what our guests do, how we can think about how we can refer business to each other or collaborate or get to know one another first. So it's a good opportunity to meet, for our guests, about 8 or 9 people, and decide who you want to connect with one-on-one afterwards. Same with our members, connecting with other members and our guests. We typically have a showcase, not always, but where somebody does a deeper dive into what they do. We could either do that if somebody wants to volunteer on a sort of last minute basis, or we could go into some sort of discussion, that topic that somebody might want to bring up. Anything come to mind? Because then we'll
Michael,
follow it.
I have a really quick show and tell. Nothing.
That's great.
super crazy.
Quick show and tell is fine. Doesn't have to be the full 15 minutes.
I don't have a slide deck. Sorry.
No problem.
I know that's disappointing to marketers not to have a slide deck, but
So, by the way, so our members, actually, why don't I highlight our guests: Todd Kirby, Jerry Fink, and Red. Oh, is it Laughlin?
Laughlin, yeah.
Laughlin. Oh, you're missing an L in your spelling, unless.
You're right about that.
Okay, that's why I thought it was Laughlin. So after John does his brief showcase, we will go around the table, or whatever you want to call it. Each get about 2 or 3 minutes to introduce ourselves, tell us what you do and how you can be helpful, and what you're looking for, if anything in particular. And ideally, how can people remember you and who you want to meet. So in the meantime, anytime before we close out, if you drop your contact information in the chat, I will encourage folks at the end to download the chat so that you have all of everybody's contact information. All right. So John, do you want to
share my screen? I don't.
Yeah, sure.
This will be fun. So let me see. Okay. So we're in the process of, now can you see a gentleman sitting at his desk?
Yep.
Okay, and I don't know if I enabled, shoot, I'm going to stop and share again so I make sure the video picks up. One moment. Yeah, you have to share sound and optimize for video. Gotta remember that. So here is one of our clients is a company that sells gold there as an investment, and the president is one of the former heads of the U.S. Mint, and they have their own video editing studio in Texas. He lives here up north, and they recruited us because we can capture video remotely. You don't have to be in the location in order to capture it. So I was explaining this to another marketing firm, because that's one of the things we offer is video capture for people who need a constant supply of relatively low cost footage. So this was taken using a smartphone, and we also clipped on an iPad for his teleprompter. So he's literally reading off a teleprompter. We went through a lot of things to make sure he had the right lights, sound baffling, in the reflective surfaces. So we kind of did this remote studio setup. He's very non-technical, so we had to go to his location a couple times to make sure everything was right. But now he just sits down in his Studio A in his house, which he actually using this as his regular study now. And I won't play the whole thing, but this is the quality we can get 4K footage remotely off of his iPhone. So,
in one of the most dramatic rallies of all time, gold prices rose almost $260 an ounce.
so he goes on. I won't go through the whole 5 minutes, but this is his every other week media talk. And can you now see a different screen?
Yep.
It says Market Insider. So we upload the footage via Dropbox to their studio in Texas. And we try to do it the same day so that they can turn it around and turn it into one of these. This was filmed in a different room in his house, so it doesn't have the same, quite the same ambiance. But they add.
If you follow the business news, you'll recall the bank failures that occurred last spring. It began with Silicon Valley Bank's collapse.
So that's a different room. We didn't quite have the lighting we wanted, but we've been doing this for almost a year now, just recording footage. And that's one of the 3 things that we offer. We don't have, I'll stop sharing. We don't have hardly any editing. Once in a while, we'll patch some things that went wrong. Like if he really goofed and we didn't have a good take, we'll pick a better take and send that up. But these guys love us because we've saved them the cost of a camera crew. Going to Philip's house every week, every other week. And that's kind of one of the 3 tiers of service that we're offering now. We do the remote capture part. We do edited videos, which David, you're familiar because you referred me to the folks at Invisinet. And then we're starting to do more, providing regular marketing content, video and writing for ongoing campaigns. So we're like the fuel station for marketers who need, this endless drain of need, because you've got 20 social media channels and your website and your everything else. So we try to provide some cost-effective fuel for campaigns, and those are the 3 areas. But that's the remote capture we're real happy with. These guys are super happy because they don't have to worry. Their studio guys in Texas don't have to worry about setting up a full studio here. That's it. Show and tell.
So you mentioned remote video capture, edited videos, and regular marketing content as 3 different tiers.
Yeah, correct.
So what's the difference in cost between remote video capture? And I guess it's maybe in cost per, edit or final minute, and how you do it.
We price the edited videos at a cost per finished minute.
Okay.
And that usually cost per finished minute is about in the $500 range. But we offer packages that have more attached. It's hard to price these things.
Right.
But for a remote capture session, if it's a 1-hour session where the subject knows what he's talking about, if we're having to go to dig for information, it takes longer. But a 1-hour capture session, we can have 2 or 3 takes, because we let them do the number of takes that it requires. But we can offer once they're set up, a 1-hour session is about $300.
Wow.
And that's just
capture,
dump into Dropbox. We don't do any editing with it.
Right.
We extra services like closed caption monitoring and SEO. We do a whole bunch of things, which makes it really hard to price.
Right.
A book trailer. We do a lot of book trailer work. I think I mentioned it last time. I showed you some. A 90-second book trailer with some special effects and titles, and a 30-second cut for social. We priced at $2,500. That involves quite a bit of editing and back and forth and script writing. We write the script for that.
Right.
We rarely capture on our website. We have examples, most of which are stock images and animation. We don't do we don't remote capture the authors quite often because they don't do that well on video. They're writers. They're not video personalities. So but our basic package price for a 2-video book trailer combo is $2,500. More expensive than do it yourself. A lot less expensive than the cinematic book trailers, which can cost like 10 to 12,000.
Right. It's not for every author, but
No, we did a fun I think I showed you our film noir mystery novel where the author did the voiceovers, but we did all the animation and all the cuts. So anyway,
very cool. Do you want while you have the floor, and by the way, I muted everybody else so that it didn't switch, but while you have the floor, do you want to sort of give a little bit more background about for our guests about your business?
Oh gosh. I'm a ghostwriter still. I write nonfiction books. And one of my books in 2018 required, it was a school textbook that I co-authored, required about 350 videos. So my two sons were, we'll say, recruited or volunteered, depending on who's telling the story. They helped me put together the videos. We took some original footage, not with remote, unfortunately. We didn't have it then. But we captured a lot of footage. We curated a lot of found footage and did some basic editing. And as a result of that experience, they'd done video work for me before, but as a result of that experience, we decided to form our own production company. So it's a family business.
Very cool.
Yep.
And how much of your business is video versus ghostwriting?
Oh, that's not a fair comparison, because ghostwriting is
How about in revenue? I don't know. Is revenue a good way to compare? I mean, you know,
it's too soon and
to-
we're ramping up the video side. So ask me in a year.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you so much for that that on the fly showcase. I will cancel the timer. We have another person, Wendy, joining. Wendy, what's your last name, Wendy? You're on mute, by the way.
My last name is Hu, spelled H-U. I can also add it to my profile as well too.
Are you Wendy Hu, the person who does events?
Yes, I am indeed.
You're famous.
Oh my goodness. I'm humbled. This is me.
Just you. Well, I remember you did like a big cannabis event a couple of years ago.
That is correct. I did. Yeah. New York
Right.
City's first immersive cannabis exhibit, education, destigmatization.
Destigmatization. Okay. So welcome. I'm going to put in the chat the order in which people showed up. I'm going to exclude John since you gave your presentation already. But we'll start with, by the way, if your name is missing or misspelled, let me know. And I'm going to, why don't we do 3 minutes each? We'll start with Rajiv, then Rochelle, then Scott Lange, then jump to a couple of our guests, Red, Todd, Jerry, and then back to David, and then Wendy. Did I miss anybody? So I'll go at the end. So also, while folks are presenting, if you could go on mute, because I'm going to expand the screen for the video, for the recording, and it's triggered by the sound, but so would like the speaker to get the video. So Rajiv, take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Picture for a moment that your young child, comes home from school, slightly dejected, deflated, and approaches you and quietly asks you, "Dad, can you tell me what does douchebag mean?" And you surprisedly respond by saying, "Why are you asking me that question? Where is this coming from?" And then he very hesitantly explains that somebody in his class used that word to describe you because that's what they saw in the media. And then made that assessment that douchebag was something that aligns with what they saw in the media. If now, as you can probably tell, this is a very uncomfortable situation for a parent and child to be in, especially for the parent to have this kind of a conversation with, his or her child. And this can all be avoided. The embarrassment, as well as the destruction and the erosion of this sacred relationship that happens between parents and their kids. All of this can be avoided quite easily if, well, A, you Google yourself, see what's out there connected to you personally, your name, your company. And if there is something that's connected to you that is outside of what you think ought to be connected to you, well, then you should do something about it. And part of doing something about it means getting rid of it, because that is not a factual portrayal of who you are as a professional person or human being. And that's basically what we do. Rather than dealing with this awkward situation, call the assassin who will make your problems go bye-bye, so that you don't have to deal with awkward situations like this, either with your kids or with people that you meet on the social circuit, or worse, on the golf course. And that's basically what we do. We erase misinformation, scandal, bad press, anything bad from the internet, so that people see the best version of you, think the best of you, and want to continue referring you and doing business to you, doing business with you. My information is in the chat. I look forward to connecting with all of you on LinkedIn. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. All right. Rochelle, you're up.
Well, good evening, close to evening, everyone. It's Rochelle from Dynamic Business Growth, and you know that I always say that it's dynamic business growth and not schlep along business growth. You know, companies struggle when it comes to speaking about their business in a compelling way. Very often, they are long-winded, they speak common, boring, and jargon. I've gone to so many presentations where I'm telling you, if I was capable of, I would have given them a summons, because that they tortured me to have to sit through something like that. So when you talk about your business, my big question is, are you storytelling or boring telling? Can you tell me a story that just based on that story alone, I can get to see your high level thinking? I can get to see the extraordinary expertise that you have, and the story represents it. When somebody says they're doing something for 25 years or 30 years, my suggestion is you really want to pay attention to that, because I don't agree with it. When you tell somebody you're doing something for 25 and 30 years, unless you tell me why, you've just positioned yourself as the Flintstones and not the Jetsons. So when it comes to creating extraordinary stories that represent who you are in your industry, that's where I've done some of my best work recently. Right now, I have my next Ultimate Power Pitch program. I don't have a date for it, but I am looking for 5 attorneys. The last group I did some great work with attorneys, so I'm looking to do a specific cohort with attorneys. So if you know a dull, boring attorney, please introduce us.
Looking for dull, boring attorneys in particular.
Dull, boring, long-winded attorneys.
There's a lot of long-winded
A lot of
attorneys,
those
that's for
going
sure.
around.
Yeah, well,
Individuals, Rochelle, groups, like what?
It could be an individual, it could be a group. I can go into a company, and if it's a larger company, we can do 5 from different practice, different practice areas, or it could be individuals in solo practice that really has to stand out and let people know, like, this is what I do. The last time I worked with, and just real quick, the last time I worked with an immigration attorney, after I rewrote what he did and positioned him differently, he didn't recognize himself. He like had to be reintroduced. So it's amazing when you speak differently about what you do than everybody else. Different is great. Different is the new sexy.
It's differentiation, market differentiation. All right. Scott Lange, you're up.
Good
Scott,
afternoon,
are you with-
everybody.
There you go.
I'm Scott Lange. Hello, David, Libby, Rajiv. Nice to see you, Rochelle. And it's nice to meet, and John, it's nice to meet you, Jerry, Todd, and Wendy, and Red. I have a marketing practice called Lange Marketing. It's named after me because of awareness that was generated years ago when I served as a the number 2 of the New York Marathon and the Roadrunners Club. And so after that, I went with my name because everybody called me and wanted an entry. So basically what I do today is partnerships, alliances, and licensing arrangements in sports, entertainment, arts, culture, and also raise philanthropic dollars for philanthropic initiatives and social impact. I am currently representing a property called Hop International for the U.S. and the World Dance Championships, which take place in April and August of this year, although I'm focused on 2025, talking to some major brands about that are targeting Gen Z. I also work on the World Pro Ski Tour, which is another property. I brought brands and put them together with athletes and the tour. And it ends up in Taos in a few weeks in March. Additionally, I'm putting together a project for a company out in Memphis that is a digital out-of-home network that will be in Fortune 1000 companies. I can't really say more than that. I've worked as an expert witness on developing arguments for law firms when it comes to marketing issues. And additionally, I'm currently looking for new business. I'm working with an accounting firm that's seeking to set up a foundation for social impact. And that's one of the projects that's in the queue right now. And lastly, since I've raised about $35 million of investment capital in my background, I work with entrepreneurs who need help putting their pitch decks together, and for a few years served on the Entrepreneur Forum, vetting the marketing aspects, not the financial aspects, but basically like Shark Tank rehearsals. And so that gives you a sense of the diversity of my background. And I'm on definitely in my back nine. So I work at my leisure. I work at my pace, and I'm always looking for new business, but I'm not looking for a 9 to 5. And I'm here to help anybody with. I also give a lot of free advice and mentor people from time to time. Thanks.
So absolutely. By the way, it's helpful to mention where you are. John Parsons is out in Seattle. Rajiv, Rochelle, and Scott are all in the New York area.
I'm in New York City.
New York City. Red, first guest. Take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Michael. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. I fell in love with chemistry in high school long before I met my wife, now at 55 years, 56 this year. And I never get a chance to really practice it because I get an invitation to Vietnam. Nowadays, I retired. I write, have over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn, almost all of them dealing with some aspect of health and wellness, mostly focused on longevity, anti-aging. I'm an author of 7 books. I'm a speaker. I speak on that generally health and wellness topic every week. I'm also a book coach and publisher. I've published 6 of my 7 books, and I've published over 30 books for other authors. I'm a TV host. I have 2 to 4 live streaming TV shows I do a week, and I'm always looking for guests there. So from a perspective of what am I looking for? I'm looking for people who want to write a book, have a book, want to get it published. I've been keeping the same price on my books for a long time, paperback and ebook, generally $300 to publish. I'm probably going to double that around Easter time. But it's one of those things that I've kept it for such a long time that the price needs to go up. How can you recognize me? Well, you can tell by my red hair that some people might consider genetic, but I also apply a little bit of the time I spent in the military as an aviator, 16 years of flying, wearing a helmet. Well, that probably has something to do with it. I got to 61 countries while I was in the Navy, joined the Navy, see the world, so I did. And about a month ago, I became a great-grandfather for the first time. And so that's me, and more than happy to help anybody I can. If you got a book idea or you want some free marketing on live stream TV show.
So you say you're a book coach and publisher. So you don't ghostwrite, but you coach. You help people figure out how to position their book, or
I help people get started. I hold them accountable if they're in the middle of writing. If they need editing services or websites or whatever, I have a lot of references I can send you to. But if you just basically need a book, we could start with something as easy as, hey, Michael, tell me about the first car you ever had. And if you structure a book like an interview, and you know all the answers to the questions, record it. It becomes super simple to write a book in a weekend, literally. All you need is about 10 or 12 or 15 chapters, which are questions of which you have all the bullet points you want to talk about. But more importantly, and it's really what Rochelle was saying earlier, you want a little story with each one of these things you're talking about, because the stories sell. Because if you have a story about your car, I could tell you about one of the cars I had. I'm coming down the High Bridge in Corpus Christi. All of a sudden, there's a big thunk, car shook, and my left rear wheel passed me, went down the bridge. I followed it on 3 wheels and a brake drum, found it, etc. There's lots of stories, but the stories are what sells your book.
Well, thank you. And you're calling in from Houston, right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
Todd
Michael,
Kirby. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Michael. Everyone, I'm sorry. I just got an emergency I have to handle.
Okay.
But I
No
put all my
problem.
stuff in the chat, and thank you guys.
All right.
Cheers,
Take
guys.
care.
Bye.
It's all right.
Good
I
luck,
met with John. I met with John already, so that's okay. Hello, everybody. Todd Kirby here. I hope to change your mind and perceptions of advertising practitioners. I just looked up the latest data around this. I've been in the ad business, the ad game, shall we say, for, I don't know, 2.5 decades. And it's because I love it. I love the art and the science of understanding what works in advertising. But the latest data says that advertising practitioners are tied with car salespeople, senators, and members of Congress. I'm not quite sure how those two are differentiated, but anyhow, on the list of least trusted, least ethical professions in our world. Yet, advertising drives very close to, I think, a top 3 level of our gross domestic product. So there's something going on there, and it's up to me to help understand what's working and what's not. I come from a research perspective, not quite the hardcore science perspective that Red does. And by the way, that's an amazing background, Red. That is awesome. You just kind of glossed over some of the, like each one of those could be a story, I think, I'm sure. And I'm sure you've written books on all of it. Anyhow, I'm an unrestricted free agent. I got laid off from my latest gig late last summer, and I'm available for hire, freelance contract, whatnot, or full time. Studying the effects of advertising and marketing using marketing research in a quantitative pre-post or control versus test environment. And I provide insights for brands and to help them do better. And all you need to do is look at the latest info and data from all these Super Bowl ads from like 3 weeks ago to be able to tell that the data and the results are all over the board, and we need to do better. And that's been my aim for a long time. The landscape has a big gap to close in terms of how we measure the effectiveness. So I bring behavioral science and all kinds of methods to the table.
So it's studying the effectiveness of advertising?
Yeah, effectiveness, impact, implications, insights, campaign management. Yes.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And where are you calling in from?
Maplewood, New Jersey, outside New York City.
Yep. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us again. Okay. Jerry Fink.
Hey guys. So I'm Jerry. I'm calling you from the woods of Pennsylvania. I was totally used to be in New York City till the pandemic. I am one of those guys that you just don't trust. I am an ad sales guy. My goal is to make as much fucking money as I can.
You're the reason.
Goddamn right. But the biggest problem is that we know how to perform. So we know how to buy advertising and make it effective. It's not a game. You know, I do a lot of market research. I've been everything from a paste up artist, so you can see my age, to a director of marketing, to leading sales team. So I've kind of done everything. I'm the trifecta of crazy. means I can write the ad, I can design the ad, I can produce the ad, and I can then go buy the advertising for it. So now I've got a company that works behind me, and I work with a team of activations guys who know how to run the stuff effectively. But I've been doing it pretty much for the last 5 years heavily. So where I've been able to look at platform spend, how things are working, and start to understand the metrics on what's working, what's not, based on creative. Give you guys the one background that we do know 90% of ad effective is not its targeting, it's not where it's placed, it's creative. So there's your big concept of the day. But advertising is advertising. If you don't advertise, you can't create awareness, and the goal is to build a blend of awareness and performance. And then ultimately, we work with a lot of companies that are pretty much emerging. We work with companies that have done a lot of work overall, like it's been mid-market. And then we've done national work where people are spending $100,000 a month. So it's given me a good perspective of the small advertiser, the medium-sized advertiser, all the way down to the international big buyer. Like we work for Sazerac, or, who does like Early Times Whiskey. We run all their campaigns overseas. So it's kind of fun. But yes, I am truly the guy who's out there trying to figure out how I can make my percentage, because every brand is trying to cut my price. They all want me to do it for 10%, less than 10%. Yet they want me to give them insights on the creative, do the market research. They want me to run the ads, have my hand on conceives, then do performance. They want a click-through rate of freaking, 4%. Then they want ROAS. And they don't want to look at freaking the fact that we're running an 8% conversion rate. That they don't give a shit about that because it's ROAS. So what's happened, to your point, and I'm sorry, let's see, Todd, is this. The fact is most people who are in the game now, and you've been in the game long enough, that we're now 25 years old and hanging out with Fred Flintstone, that what happens here is that the people who are coming in don't know their shit. They haven't spent the hours, spent the 10,000 hours becoming the experts on how to buy advertising. So they don't know how to look at what performance is. And then they talk to me like I'm the dipshit. And ultimately, I was running ads for a national campaign, spending $80,000 a month, generating freaking $15,000 in freaking return on investment, that had a conversion rate of 8%, and they fired us because they wanted us to be at 17. Yet they weren't spending enough money to make it, and they had a product that was buy once and rebuy later, 9 months later, with an average cart value of $30.
So Jerry, who's a good contact for you? Who are you trying to meet?
Oh, dude, we'll work with anybody. But that's all I got. So it gives you just an idea of what I do and why I do it, what I think about it from the philosophy side. But, we just run advertising, and, we work with, we just sit there. If you're a small company, we can help you. Medium size, we can do it. It doesn't matter. Sorry.
Wonderful. Thank you. And that's all right. And just put your contact information in the link in the chat. Thank you. David Libby, you are up.
Hey, no, you know my name now. Hey, so show of hands, how many of you celebrated Thanksgiving this year? Right, so most of you. And the table was full of food, right? Too many choices, too much stuff to remember. You probably can't even remember everything you were served. But there was that one thing that was your favorite dish. What was it? Think about it. Was it the turkey? Was it the stuffing? What was it? So on my table, I do a lot of stuff too, public relations, content, analyst relations, a lot of stuff that you'll forget about if I go over it right now in less than 3 minutes. But if there's one thing you need to remember, that is when you refer business to us, we'll pay you 10% of the gross revenue for 6 months. And what business? Just think about one thing on that table. We want to write content for more lawyers. We have a lot of law firms that we've been working with for the last 4 years that we write content for. These folks are so hungry for content because the lawyers do so many different things and they need the SEO. So if there's one thing on the table that you want to think about when it comes to me, Think about, we create content for lawyers, and we'll pay you after you refer us and we close the business. We'll give you 10% of the first 6 months of the gross revenue. That could be a lot of money for you.
Very cool. And calling in from Orinda.
Lovely Northern California, just east of San Francisco.
Very cool. All right. And
Thanks,
we ought to
everybody.
talk. I now have a team that's specializing in doing Squarespace sites for lawyers. So very,
Awesome.
very, very competitively priced. Okay, Wendy Hu.
Hello, everybody. So I am a passionate futurist, artivist, and culture shifter. And like many of you here, I specialize in several different things. My main thing is actually I'm founder and creative director of Visual Conductor, and it's an innovation studio where we design the future of branding. And that's essentially brand experience. And I define that from anything from dynamic visual branding, because I come from a very strong graphic design background, to now interactive events and experiences. So to give you tangible examples of that, as Michael had mentioned before, I actually designed a 9,000 square foot cannabis exhibit, multi-sensory, where it was really about education, because a lot of people still have that mindset that, oh, it's still Cheech and Chong stoner culture. But no, actually, there's a lot of innovation in that space, a lot of entrepreneurs. There's plant medicine, and then also there's just a lot of different other aspects to that culture. So I'm not there to make judgments. I'm not there to help people make a decision. I'm there to educate people, inform people, and then they make their decision. Another example of what we potentially do is we do a lot of really cool environmental graphics for retail environments as well as for events. And then we also design events ourselves. That could be trade shows, conferences, and then also the future of runway. What does that look like? That could be anything from like a in-person runway show with immersive visuals, with augmented reality triggers, to for global impact, why not have that collection also in the metaverse? So we tread virtual and physical realms. I also wanted to mention that I am a pitch and presentation design queen, which is something I've been also offering on the side as well too, because a lot of times I have to pitch anywhere from startups to Fortune 500 clients and create really compelling pitch presentations. And I'm not just designing beautiful graphics, I'm actually designing really evocative presentations that sell your vision. So I figured I'd share the wealth in that part. The other thing I wanted to mention is I am a diversity and inclusion artivist and consultant. In fact, Rajiv and I have a collective called Let's Solve X, which is a positive impact focused, where we work on diversity and inclusion, and we consult with companies actually through branding, marketing, educational training workshops, and events that center around bringing that diversity into whether your company or just within a community. So those are the things that I am touching upon at the moment.
Thank you. Good timing. Love the colors in the background. Really
Thank
bright.
you. Yeah, I'm a creative. Can't you
There
tell?
go. All right, Ron Hubsher joined a little bit late, but welcome, Ron, and you're up.
Oh, it's good to see everybody, by the way. And Jerry, we should probably connect. Has anybody ever had an issue where once you thought you had a deal closed and maybe it's like a Thursday night late or Tuesday night late, and you're feeling like, okay, I'm going to get out of the office, everything is good, man, I'm going to go home, I'm going to psych, get out some dinner, and the client calls you up late at the day and says, hey, I need a deep discount, and here you're thinking, man, I had the deal won, I'm feeling all good, and now what do I do? Do I push back hard on them and risk losing the deal, or just do I eat it and accept the loss? And you're just feeling not good. You went from feeling really great to feeling not good. Has anybody ever had that experience? Show of hands. Okay. Well, we make sure that'll never happen to you again. I run a negotiation training firm, and we work with mostly SaaS companies. We also work with any business-to-business sales force. Turns out most of our clients tend to be SaaS companies. We teach them how to negotiate and close deals, command price premiums, increase close rates, and create better client relationships. And that's what we do.
Right. And calling in from Florida, correct?
Correct. And I'm wearing a hat because I have sunburn.
Oh, exactly. You got to wear the hat before you get the sunburn.
Yeah, that was a mistake. And sunscreen.
Exactly. All right. Did I miss anybody before I go? All right. So I'm going to go 3 minutes for me. So my name is Michael Bendit. My core business, besides running this network, is I sell software development services. So I'm an independent agent for about a dozen teams. And we do a lot of work in partnership with other marketing agencies, digital agencies, some of whom might even have programmers on staff. Usually it's just one or two, if any. And the reason they bring us in is because they can't handle all the work, either because they don't have the bandwidth or things come their way for which they don't really have the expertise. You know, programming, web development, there's so many different platforms, so many different languages. Of course, we do a lot of work on WordPress and Shopify, but a lot of our teams just don't have the bandwidth or sometimes can't do that work for at the right cost because they have domestic developers. So my teams, across the dozen teams, it's a mix of domestic teams for those clients that want just to work with the domestic team, offshore teams, and then the ones that I do most of my work with are what I refer to as dual shore. So we've got a couple of people in the United States or in Canada, but most of the developers are offshore. So it's typically about half the price of US-based resources, whereas US-based resources are about 150 an hour. A dual shore is somewhere between 50 and 90. And then offshore tends to be anywhere from like 30 to 60. I'm not at the bottom of the barrel. That's not what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to get the value and bring that value to my clients. So always looking for other agencies to connect with who we can support. And I mentioned WordPress. I also have a Squarespace team and a Webflow team. Those tend to be smaller projects. I also have a team that does things like Magento, which is, typically it's a more complex, capable e-commerce system where, typically a build is 80,000 plus. So love to meet with people one-on-one. I guess Red, we haven't met. Wendy, we haven't met one-on-one, although you're, as I said, you're famous. So definitely let's connect. What else do I have to add? By the way, the guest link, and many of you, I guess 4 of you who came as guests today probably came through the guest link. I've raised the guest price to $25, but if you've got the coupon code, it's free. So certainly you're welcome. And to have that, if any of our members are welcome to use the coupon code for their guests. All right, so I'm going to switch back to gallery mode. Anybody want to bring up a topic in the last sort of 12 or 13 minutes that we have to discuss, questions about what's going on in the marketing world, or comments that anybody might be able to address, or a problem that they're having?
Yeah, I could just tell you, if you're not sick of reading about artificial intelligence,
sure,
the Artificial Intelligence Marketing Guild, run by David Berkowitz, is a pretty good group. There's a Wednesday 9 o'clock Pacific time meeting for an hour, and some really good minds in AI and marketing get together and share what they're doing, what's working, what's not working. And there's presentations from companies that are actually doing quite well in it. So I think that'll
do you want to share that link?
David, I'm definitely interested.
Put that in the chat, pretty please.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I second that. I've been a part of David Berkowitz's group for a while, actually, even like dating probably back. He has a Slack group and a number of other things going on for the last like 4 or 5 years. So
yeah,
he's
I
good
figure
guy.
you and Jerry probably know him.
Yeah.
If you don't know David Berkowitz, it's good to get on his LinkedIn. His Slack channel, which is called Serial Marketer.
Yeah.
So if you look up Serial Marketer, I think you'll get to his website first, and then you could find the Slack channel. He's he gets involved in lots of things, puts out lots of content. I don't know how he does it. Also does some consulting work.
He writes a lot about fractional stuff now, so that's a top
Yes.
thing now.
Yeah, he's got a what he calls fraction of a fraction program for people that want to sort of sell their services on almost an hourly basis or, less than a day basis. So he calls it FOF, I guess, fraction of a fraction.
Yeah, that
And
link right there too. You could just join without having him approve it. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So by the way, and now might be a good time to download or save the chat. If you're not familiar with how to do that, if you go to the chat window and click the 3 buttons at the bottom, the first option is Save Chat, and that'll show up in your Zoom folder in Documents. I think they set up a different Zoom folder for each Zoom that you're part of. If you are,
they still have the 3 buttons at the bottom. Mine got shifted to the top about 2 months ago.
Yeah, really? The bottom of the chat window?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's 3 dots at the top now for at least most of the Zooms I've been on. It used to be at the bottom, yeah. But
could be, yeah. I'm still working maybe on an older version. I don't know.
Okay.
Bottom of my chat window.
Actually, I did, if we still have time, a
Sure.
topic to bring up in
Sure.
this call. I'd be curious to hear what everybody feels like personally or in general for the industry, how you feel about Q1 of the marketing industry at this moment.
How Q1 is going for folks or how it's going for the market?
In general, or for you personally, yeah. I would have to say from my end, I'm deep in proposal mode. I'm excited for opportunities, but I do have to say it feels like it's off to a sluggish start. Yeah.
Yep. Lots of hot leads.
Yeah, I think the busiest time for me tends to be like May. Yeah, like April, May, June is kind of like the busiest time for me.
Yeah, I think people start ramping up again, but it takes a while to actually close and get stuff done in that first quarter. Unless they're planning, fourth quarter of the prior year.
I would say it's definitely a sowing season rather than a reaping season.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Anybody got any big new projects coming up? I'm pitching one that's actually somebody who's an expert in SEM and has all these tools that he wants to productize. So we just quoted him about $30,000 or so for a project to productize a bunch of those tools. He's got a prototype, and then he's going to make it available to people that do search engine marketing. So that's we'll see how it goes. He seems to be pretty enthusiastic about it, wants to get going, but hasn't signed anything yet.
I'm working on a project with I'm a consultant to a firm called Grant Leisure. They're one of my clients, but actually together with them, we have clients. So for example, they are world renowned for doing feasibility studies and operations planning and hiring architects, and they are responsible for little things like the London Eye, Legoland. They work with Disney, etc. You could look them up, Grant Leisure on Google. And we've got a major project that right now is a theme park sort of attraction combination that's in the Middle East and on hold because of the war. And that's been a kick in the cojones. Obviously, it's selfish of me to say that when people are dying, but we hope to have that underway. And it's all I can say is it's another one of those Emirates that wishes they were Dubai with the Burj Khalifa. So they're looking for their own version of not a building like the Burj Khalifa, but something else that's going to bring a lot of people to their emirate.
Maybe something like the Sphere or something. Apparently, they're building more spheres.
Sphere is another one of those. We didn't work on the Sphere, but and the interesting thing about the Sphere is there's not a lot of advertising on the Sphere right now, and people are wondering in this industry whether that's going to happen.
Somebody's knocking on the door.
They're just going to be programming it the way they have been. It cost 2.8 billion to make the seat.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, well,
Just going back to Wendy's
all
question,
in
though.
tax money, I guess. Pardon?
Oh, excuse me. Sorry to cut you off. God, go ahead.
You were saying?
Oh, just going back to Wendy's question. I'm just wanted to bring that up again because I'm hearing that in most all of these groups I'm attending. And so, you know, I think there's quite a lot of distractions happening right now from what I've been experiencing, what I've been hearing from other people. And that one of the ways that I've been approaching this is to just up the amount of marketing business development that I've been doing compared to last year.
Amen.
And one thing, I'm just going to drop this in the chat. This, for some reason, is a free marketing tool. I don't know why it is free right now, but it is really fantastic. If you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can actually create a persona of the audience you want to target, and then create a message and drop that list into Integrate Studio, and it will introduce you to new people on LinkedIn. And some people are against automation. You know, this isn't about selling people. This is about just making more connections on LinkedIn with people who are like-minded, people who would want to work with in the future, and specific to what I'm doing, people who are actually active on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn Sales Navigator says, find, you know, CMOs who are active on LinkedIn, who are second connections. And a list of 681 people popped up. It's 40% through it. 38% of that list so far has agreed to be connected with me on LinkedIn, just to have a connection, just to chat, just to get to know me. There's no, just thanks, David, for connecting. That's it. And I think there's a lot of value in that equity.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you, David.
Integrate Studio. Okay. Wendy?
Yeah, no, thank you for all these really great resources and tools, David. I really appreciate it. Speaking of AI and networking, I also wanted to mention, if I don't know if you guys are familiar, Lunch Club, which is an AI-based platform where essentially you can book time to chat with people a couple times a week, as much as you want to. That's been interesting as well too. And also one more announcement I wanted to make is actually I just became an advisor on an augmented reality fashion maze. And so I was really excited about it because it's a team of all women, almost all women developers, and one body positive male. One of the important foundations, aside from gamification and featuring local designers or stripping it for other brands for brand activations, is that we're really pushing the boundaries of diversity beyond just throwing skin color on a Caucasian build avatar. We actually accurately portray the avatars. For example, if you're from the Middle East, your cheekbones, your body structure, like it's not just skin tone. And then we really are embracing diversity. If we're really addressing diversity, then the avatars perhaps are in wheelchairs, or perhaps they're an amputee. Or perhaps they have autism. So we're really like embracing inclusivity and keeping it real, because I think everybody, when they play video games or in their metaverse, want to see their everyday hero portrayed in their avatar, and they should have that.
Absolutely. All right. It is near the top of the hour. For those who are our guests, if you want to consider joining, just reach out to me. We have a 3-month trial, which is free, of course. It's a trial. After that, it's $360 a year. So rather than do it monthly, you have a 3-month trial. If you like it, you pay for a year. You get a listing and you get invites to all the meetings. And the website does provide some collaboration capabilities, although it's not used all that much, but we're hoping to boost that up a little bit. So thank you to all of our members today and our guests for coming. It's great when we have guests, livens it up. Think about who you want to connect with and reach out, because you just met each other. Now's a good time to just reach out with 1 or 2 people. Connect one-to-one and start getting to know each other. Thank you. Did you have a comment, Ron, or just saying goodbye?
I want to put a plug in. I think it's
Okay.
like $360 just to join the network. It's like the cheapest network you can join, and just to know Michael and all his great anybody in his orbit, it's like worth it 20 times over. So you should probably just join. It's like a
I'm
no
gonna
brainer.
have to raise the price. Okay. Thank you so much for thank you so much for that. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.